62 International Virtual Learning Series titled on Pharmaceutical Research and Education Post-COVID in association with the Indian Pharmaceutical Association, South Tamil Nadu local branch, head office at Arulmigu Kalasalingam College of Pharmacy. Today we are proud to have an eminent personality, veteran teacher, notorious researcher, and honorable resource person, Professor Dr.Priyank Kumar, Lab of Addiction, Neuroscience and Metabolic Disorders, College of Pharmacy, United States of America. It is a great honor to have with us for this occasion. We thank you, sir, for kindly being the valuable part of this session. Let me acquaint you with the sterling quality of this eminent personality who is a brilliant researcher. Sir, your prestigious presence, it is great honor for us and great motivation and inspiration for our students. Sir, we are fully appreciate you for finding the time to be with us in spite of your busy schedule. Professor Dr. Priyan Kumar, sir, most welcome you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Venkateshan, and I am really humbled by such a nice introduction. Thanks a lot. I would like to thank the AKCP for giving me platform to talk about something that I like and share my knowledge. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. My dear students, this session I hope will enrich your knowledge and update you about the pharmaceutical research and education post-COVID for your. This is the first and foremost needy for your career. All the very best, my dear students. Once again, I welcome you all. Thank you. Thank you, Professor. Welcome. You can proceed.
Thank you. So, hi everyone. As you know, my name is Dr. Priyank Kumar, and a brief background about me. I have done my bachelor's in pharmaceutical sciences from India, and then I moved to United States in 2005 to pursue a master's in pharmacology. Um Followed by and my research area in masters was addiction neuroscience, and then I moved into for my PhD. I did my PhD in cancer chemotherapeutics, wherein I discovered a couple of compounds that were actually that could be used to reverse the multi-drug resistance associated with cancer chemotherapeutics. Moving on, I got a job as an academician and scientist in a college of pharmacy in New York City. And, beautiful New York City. Worked there for 4 years, then moved to California, another beautiful place in America. So currently, I'm working as an associate professor at Marshall B. Ketchum University College of Pharmacy, that is located in LA metropolitan area. So this is in nutshell about me. Now let's begin with the today's talk. So the topic of today's talk is pharmaceutical research and education post COVID-19, right? We all are thinking that what is going to happen in a couple of months or probably 6 months, what will happen, the COVID will go away. We all will come back to normal life. We all will be, hanging out with each other, and we would be doing whatever we are used to be doing, in regularly, right? Guess what? Hold on. Okay. So guess what? That's not going to happen. Okay. The COVID is not going to go anywhere from here. it'll be amongst us. We will have to learn to live with it. Okay, so in when we tell this to people around us, or in scientific community as well, when we found out that, what, look at the pattern of all the viruses, right? HIV came in, right? There was a huge issue related to HIV. There was a lot of patients lost their lives, back in the last, century. Okay, but what is happening is, did HIV go anywhere? It did not. It is still there, right? People have learned to live with it. Do we have a proper treatment for HIV? I would say yes, right? Does it eradicate HIV from the patient? Well, maybe, may not be, right? So similarly, other viruses, most of these viruses, they are there amongst us. Okay, so that is why, scientific community believes that coronavirus or SARS-CoV-2 will also not disappear from this world. Um, uh, I think for that to happen, we really need magic to happen. Okay. So, anyways, so, this creates a situation of distress, right? Now we know that this is not going anywhere. What to do? It is getting in, the people are getting infected. More and more people are getting infected. Every day, many of us, begin our day by checking the local headlines, typing in Google how many cases and how many deaths related to COVID-19. So it is all creating a panic amongst all of us, right? And please don't take me wrong. It's not that we should not be careful about it. We should be careful about it, but we should not create panic associated with this pandemic. Okay, and to ease you guys, there is a quote that is issued by Dr. Ghebreyesus, who's the Director General of WHO, and he says, "We cannot say this loudly enough, or clearly enough, or often enough. All countries can still change the course of this pandemic." What does that mean? It doesn't mean that this pandemic is, this virus is going away somewhere. If we learn to live with caution, with intelligence, then we can change the course of this pandemic. Look what has happened in South Korea, right? I mean, in South Korea, there were so many patients that were infected by this disease. However, because of their, the government was proactive, the people were proactive, right? So, they could really settle the cases, or settle the course of this pandemic out there in their country. All right. So this is not new. All of us can do it. All the other, countries, if they come together, we can do it, right? So let's start with what do we know so far, right? Because if we see post COVID-19, how would be the research and pharmaceutical research and pharmaceutical education? I think no one knows, right? So we should not talk about how would it be post COVID-19. We should talk about how would it be with COVID-19. All right. Okay. So to get into that, first we will have to discuss what do we know so far about COVID-19, right? If that makes sense. So, in nutshell, we know that people who are at higher risk, they are either geriatric population, people with existing conditions, obesity, obese people. All right. So let's get into a little bit more detail of the symptoms and transmission of COVID-19, right? So most common symptoms of COVID-19 are respiratory symptoms, for example, cough, difficulty breathing, and could be with or without fever. Symptoms may appear 2 to 14 days after exposure. The average incubation period of COVID-19 is reported to be about 5 days. Right now, majority of cases they have milder diseases, with some having severe disease. In severe cases, patients with COVID-19, they develop bilateral pneumonia and respiratory failure. What do I mean by bilateral pneumonia? If you all can, my students, if you can all go back to your, pathophysiology 101, bilateral meaning if something happens in one organ, so we have two lungs, right? And pneumonia happens in lungs. So if the condition happens in one lung, then it translates into the other lung as well. Okay, so that situation is called as bilateral. So, in severe cases, the patients may develop bilateral pneumonia that may cause respiratory failure, and in some cases, it could be fatal. All right. The mortality has generally, or death have generally occurred in people who are older and who have underlying health conditions. Now, reports of severe disease in children are very uncommon. Okay, now transmission of SARS-CoV-2 is largely by close person-to-person transmission. For example, if you are in close proximity to someone who is infected by SARS-CoV-2, right? And if we are in close proximity, so that when we are talking, if the sputum from the infected person gets onto you, or if the sputum from the infected person gets aerosolized, it gets into the air, and that those aerosolized particles, they get into the other person who's not infected, then there is a chance, highly likely a chance, that that person will get infected with SARS-CoV-2. Okay, so meaning that's why CDC has mandated 6 feet distance, right? 6 feet is a very safe distance, and we'll find out. We'll talk about it in later slides of my presentation. Okay, so the transmission, as I said, that it is by respiratory droplet contact, and contact with hands, with surfaces. So let's say if someone has, so let's say an infected person has touched the some surface, and if non-infected person also goes and touches the surface, and then that person puts the infected hand now into the mouth or into eyes, and now recent reports have come up wherein the SARS-CoV-2 can also can infect a person through ears, right? So make sure that when you are touching anything, any surface with bare hands, please wash your hands. Wash your hands, or carry hand sanitizer, 70% isopropyl alcohol. Okay. Now, now there are some patients who may be infectious, and who may be asymptomatic as well. All right. So that's why, so we know all these things, the modes of transmission, what fatalities, in what cases the fatalities occur, and stuff like that. Let's move on to the next slide about testing and screening, right? So, the priorities for testing is included for hospitalized patients that have comparable signs and symptoms. Any person that, including healthcare personnel, who within 14 days of symptom onset had close contact with symptomatic individuals. All right. Now, the symptomatic individuals are who are at high risk of complications. For example, geriatric patients. Geriatric patients meaning if their age group is above 65, if the patients are immunocompromised, right? Or if the patients have chronic medical conditions, those patients may also should be higher on the priority list for getting checked for or tested or screened for COVID-19. All right. Now, I should also tell you that I'm using two words quite frequently: COVID-19, SARS-CoV-2. Right. So, what's the difference? COVID-19 is the disease, okay, that is caused by a virus called as SARS-CoV-2. All right. Okay, so mildly ill patients, they should be advised to stay home while they are ill, and they should contact their service provider or healthcare provider before presenting for care, before going to the clinic. Okay, now mass testing of employees should be done, or residents should be done in workplace facilities or residential areas. That will allow proper isolation of infected residents so that they can be cared for, and quarantine of exposed residents to minimize the risk of spread. Routine reverse transcriptase polymerase chain reaction testing, RT-PCR testing, should be done in addition to symptomatic screening of new residents before entry. Okay. Now, there are different types of testing that are available now for us. For example, diagnostic testing. Diagnostic could be of two types: molecular and antigen, or viral tests. These tests tell us if we have, or if the patient have a is very important. Viral diagnostic tests, they let you collect either a nasal or saliva sample, either at home or medical facilities. Like how here in California, we have drive-in facilities wherein you can drive to the testing center. They will give you a kit. That kit has a nasal swab. You put that swab in both your nostrils for a few seconds, roll the swab in the nostril, and then put it in a liquid. All right. And then the sample is given to the testing facility, and then they will give us the results in about 2 to 3 days. Okay. Then molecular tests, they are considered to be gold standard diagnostic test for SARS-CoV-2. Um, RT-PCR analysis, where genetic material from one sample is copied and then compared to genetic sequence uh, of the virus to detect the presence of viral genetic material. Uh, Antigen tests, they are designed for rapid detection of SARS-CoV-2, which is the main advantage over standard molecular tests. Then there are some immunoassay analysis also being performed, wherein a sample is incubated with biological molecules that can detect the specific antigen proteins on the surface of the virus. Okay. Moving on to antibody or serological tests. Serological tests is the term, serological is the term that is used for anything related to serum. All right. So the antibody test, it tells us if the patient had a past infection. Because once the infection is done, then only the patient will develop antibodies, right? So it should not be used to diagnose a current infection. All right. So there are antibody tests that are available through healthcare providers and labs. Serological tests, they rely on detecting antibodies in a blood sample, usually obtained through a simple finger prick. The rapid response serological tests typically use a technique called ELISA. It is called an enzyme-linked immunological assay, which detects the presence of IgM antibodies or IgG antibodies in the later, in the later stage of infection. Okay. Now, what are the truths that we need to know or we know about COVID-19? And these are well-established truths, well-established, I should not say facts, but these are well-established, peer-reviewed. They have been published in respectable journals, right? So first is most common symptoms, they are respiratory symptoms, cough, difficulty breathing with or without fever. Okay. Cases may be infectious just before symptoms appear, as well as with minimal symptoms. Majority of cases have milder diseases with some having severe disease. Severe cases develop pneumonia and respiratory failure. I'll tell you one more fact that, till last, so this is what is going on right now. August is going on. Till last month in America, there were only 5% fatality of the cases of the patients who were infected with SARS-CoV-2. Okay, so that's why, there are very few cases that have severe disease that may lead to mortality. Severe cases develop pneumonia and respiratory failure. Deaths have generally occurred in people who are older and who have underlying health conditions. Reports of severe disease in children are very uncommon. Everyone is at potential risk. Okay, just keep that in mind. All of us are at potential risk. Population expected to have no immunity as a new virus, at least 18 months. Okay, now, so most of us don't have any immunity against the virus. All right. And to develop a vaccine, it will at least take 18 months. Let me tell you that the first vaccine, the first time when the vaccine was made for a flu pandemic, that was in I think early 1900s in America, right? It took 4.5 years to develop that vaccine. So considering the advance in science and technology, the scientists are speculating that it would at least take 18 months uh, to come up with a successful vaccine candidate. Okay, so now what is the treatment? Okay, treatment includes supportive care. No effective treatment at scale right now. Supportive care meaning the patient should be given some paracetamol because to reduce the fever. Patient should be given some paper towel or paper wipes to clean the nose or so that the wipes can be disposed, right? And patient should take a lot of fluids. All right. Now, there are certain existing antiviral medications that are being trialed, and they are likely reserved for the patients who are very sick. Now, severe cases can require intensive care, and supportive treatment in hospital and intensive care can be life-saving. Okay, now let's talk about the myths that myths that are going around nowadays. First is vitamin C or homeopathic medicines cure COVID-19. Well, no one knows about that because there is no published data in peer-reviewed journals that claims that vitamin C or homeopathic medicines cure COVID-19. Second myth is hydroxychloroquine cures COVID-19, and there was a lot of buzz about hydroxychloroquine in India, followed by some of it in America as well. Excuse me. But let me tell you this, that hydroxychloroquine, the trials have been ongoing. There are, some trials have already been done, and the results are not promising. And the biggest problem with and in many countries, people started treating themselves prophylactically with hydroxychloroquine, meaning even before the infection, they started treating themselves to prevent the infection. And so what happens with hydroxychloroquine, it prolongs the it creates QT prolongation. If you look at the in heart, and because of which the patient may undergo arrhythmia. Okay, so cardiac arrhythmias, and this is not at all advised. So please, when whoever you talk to, please spread the word that hydroxychloroquine is not effective at all, according to the recent studies. Okay, now COVID-19 only affects older people. No, that's not true either. It affects older people. Older people may be more prone to get the infection, but it affects it infects people of all ages. Okay, or people with pre-existing medical conditions appear to develop serious illness more often than others. The next myth is COVID-19 affects people of Asian descent more or are spread by them. For example, commodities or goods from China, or eating in a Chinese restaurant. Out here, in America, people had stopped going to Chinese restaurants because they were thinking that, these are the people who are spreading the disease. No, it's not that. Disease, the origin of disease may be anywhere, right? But we cannot hold one race liable of or we cannot penalize one race for spreading the disease. That's not fair. All right, disease can make anyone sick regardless of their race or ethnicity or wherever they live. Look at Italy. Italy had severe cases, so many mortalities, right? Look at America. People in America are getting infected, although it came from somewhere else. But it's the virus is infecting people out here too, right? The other myth was that warm weather will kill the coronavirus. Well, the evidence is unclear. In countries such as Australia, Iran, COVID-19 has spread very quickly despite of warm and humid weather. Also, some strains of the virus can change depending on the environment. And viruses are very notorious in changing their genetic makeup. They mutate very fast. Okay, so they may survive and thrive in various geographical regions or climates. So the other one is, I can get or spread COVID-19 if I go outside or open windows. Well, getting fresh air is very important. It is it will increase your access to oxygen, improve your mood, and make you feel more alert. But you have to practice social distancing. Social distancing meaning, according to CDC guidelines, it has to be 6 feet. Okay. Another one is, I need to sanitize all the surfaces indoors and objects that arrive from outside. Many people do that. They would, wash vegetables or fruits in soapy water and stuff like that. So, fun fact, it spread through touching surfaces or object that has the virus on it, and then touching their own mouth, nose, or possibly their eyes, that can spread the virus. So let's say if you have, as I have told you earlier too, that if someone has touched an infected surface, and then after touching that surface, if that person puts that hand either in the mouth or ears or nose or eyes, then yes, that person may get infected. Okay, but this isn't thought to be the main way the virus spreads. Indirect transmission is now thought to be a secondary and possibly very minor source of acquiring infection. If this was true, guys, I'm telling you, how many of us wear rings in fingers, right? Yes, we go out and in air we go to closed, if we are going for grocery shopping to buy vegetables or to buy monthly stuff from a corner store in our community, the air is enclosed in there, so our rings are also getting infected, right? So by this analogy over here, by this if this myth was true, then all of us would have gotten infected by now. So, you know according to recent studies, this is considered as secondary source of infection and the spread is very minor. The last one is the flu shot prevents COVID-19. No, the flu shot would not, excuse me, will not protect against COVID-19. Flu shot is specifically for flu virus, not for COVID-19. COVID-19 is not flu virus. Okay? Now, what do we not know about, or how should we prepare, right? To face it, basically, right? So, first is the things that we should be buying. Okay, you have to basically, you just want to prepare as though you're going to get a nasty respiratory bug like bronchitis or pneumonia. So you just have the foresight to know it might come your way. So the things you should actually buy ahead of time, not the toilet paper, guys. I am telling you, when all this started in America, we were short of toilet paper for months. I don't know why people hoarded toilet paper. We don't need toilet paper to prepare ourselves to fight to fight COVID-19. We need some disposable tissues, some disposable, paper towels, so that we can clean the runny nose if we have. Some paracetamol for symptom and a fever over 38 degrees Celsius. Take paracetamol rather than ibuprofen, and you would know the difference by now. For my friends, students who have already studied the NSAIDs, they would know better, right? And we should also have generic mucus thinning cough medicine of your choice. Check the label and make sure that you are not doubling up on paracetamol, because sometimes what happens that these mucus thinning agents, they have paracetamol in them. And then you can also have a lozenge, or you can keep honey and lemon at home, just to provide a soothing feeling in your throat. Okay. Now, a humidifier would be a good thing to buy and use it in your room when you go to bed overnight. You can also just turn the shower on hot and sit in the bathroom, breathing in the steam. So, if it gets very dry, I think in the place where you are at, the humidity is so high that you don't need any humidifier. But basically the place where I am at, California, it gets in Southern California, it gets very dry. Humidity is about 10 to 15%, right? So we need humidifier so that to just relieve the symptoms. If you have a history of asthma and you have prescription inhaler, you make sure the one that you have isn't expired, and you should have enough so that you can sustain. Now, you should hydrate, drink, stock up on whatever your favorite clear fluids are to drink. Though tap water is fine, you may appreciate some variety as well. Take lots of rest. You should not be leaving your house. Even if you are feeling better, you may will still be infectious for 14 days. And older people and those with existing health condition. Okay, so stay home, take rest, wear gloves and mask to avoid contaminating others in your house. This is only applicable if you have a COVID-19 patient in the house. Okay. Isolate in your bedroom if not living alone. Ask friends and family to leave supplies outside to avoid contact. Sanitize your bed linen and clothes frequently by washing, and clean your bathroom with recommended sanitizers, because bathrooms are a place that, this is the hub of all the bacteria and viruses. Okay, so it is very important to clean the bathroom or sanitize the bathroom of the infected patient. You do not need to go to hospital um, unless you are having breathing, or your fever is very high over 39 degrees Celsius, and if it is not being managed with meds. 90% of healthy adult cases thus far have been managed at home with basic rest, hydration over the count, and with over the counter meds. Unnecessary trips to hospital will overwhelm the system and make you more prone to get infected. Okay, and then you have to monitor your symptoms. If you are worried or in respiratory distress or feel your symptoms are getting worse, then you must go to the hospital. Okay, so let's look for other COVID-19 FAQs. So, I and my collaborators who work on COVID-19, you know, we have tried to make a FAQ sheet, right? So let's go over it. So, is there a vaccine or drug or treatment for COVID-19? To date, there is no vaccine, no specific antiviral medicine to prevent or treat COVID 2019. However, those affected should receive care to relieve symptoms. People with serious illness should be hospitalized. Now, if you have heard recent news, Russia is claiming to have the first vaccine for COVID-19, but again, the tests or the clinical trials data is still awaited. All right. So, should I wear a mask to protect myself? Only wear a mask if you are ill with COVID-19 symptoms, especially coughing, or looking after someone who may have COVID-19. Or if you're going into a hospital in a place that is enclosed, no fresh air circulation, or a place that is more crowded, then you should wear mask. Okay. What about travel? So the governing body out here in America, that is called the Center for Disease Control, CDC, it provides recommendations on postponing or canceling travel through travel notices. Travel notices are based on assessment of potential health risks involved with traveling to a certain area. Can I get COVID-19 in an airplane? Well, because of how air circulates and is filtered on airplanes. So airplanes contains, if you remember, if you go back to your notes from pharmaceutics, in pharmaceutical engineering, where you study about the, ACs and HEPA filters, those hoods that contains HEPA filters, right? those same kind of HEPA filters are put in airplanes, and the pore size of HEPA filters is zero point 0.2 microns, right? So viruses and bacteria, they get filtered out of it. All right. So that's why the air in the airplane is safe. Although the risk of infection on an airplane is low, travelers should try to avoid contact with sick passengers, wash their hands often with soap and water, or use hand sanitizers at least that has 60%, 70% isopropyl alcohol or 60% ethanol. All right. Am I at risk for COVID-19 from a package or product shipped from China? Currently, there is no such evidence, okay, that supports transmission of COVID-19 associated with imported goods. And there have not been any cases of COVID-19 in the United States associated with imported goods. How long does the virus survive on surfaces? It is not certain how long the virus that causes COVID-19 survives on surfaces. Studies suggest that coronavirus, including COVID-19 virus, may survive on surfaces for a few hours or up to several days. If you think a surface may be infected, clean it with simple disinfectant to kill the virus and protect yourself and others. Can I catch COVID-19 from my pet? No, there is no evidence that companion animals or pets such as cats and dogs have been infected or could spread the virus that causes COVID-19. Although, according to recent studies, cats and dogs may also have COVID-19, may get infected by SARS-CoV-2. I read an article that was published last week in Science. However, the cross contamination between the species, right, from pets, from cats or dogs to humans, is not happening. Okay, so there is no such data as of now that proves that the cross contamination or cross transfection between from cats or dogs to humans is happening. All right, so it's not the case. All right, so how about the other remarks? We should believe in prevention. We should not get panic. Okay, we should stay calm, be prepared, right? Please help each other irrespective of whether a person is infected or not. If you are young, healthy, you can help an infected patient after making sure that you have taken measures to protect yourself. Okay, please help your frontline workers, for example, doctors, nurses, pathologists, phlebotomists, and other medical and paramedical personnel. Do not engage in public shaming or shouting at people in a crowded places, because this will help spread the virus further. Due to one, the place is crowded, you are in close proximity to each other. Second, when you're talking, the virus is getting aerosolized in your sputum, and it is and it can get it can infect the other people as well, or healthy individuals. Promote messages that discourage people who are sick from attending events, right? If you know someone who is sick, please do not encourage them to attend an event. Tell them to stay home. Now there are so many good technology, they can attend the session remotely as well, right? So please do that. Be kind, stay mindful of actions that could perpetuate discrimination or stigma associated with COVID-19 or other infectious diseases. Stopping stigma can help communities withstand or recover quickly and from difficult situations such as disease outbreaks. Get your information from reliable sources, not from WhatsApp. Please make that an important point. WhatsApp is not a reliable source for getting information. The reliable sources are in America, or wherever you are. You can check CDC website, you can check WHO, right? rather than buying into hype and misinformation. Please remember that SARS-CoV-2 is here, as I have already said, it is here to stay till a herd immunity is developed. All right, till all of us get infected. This will only happen when majority of population already has been infected once and developed the antibodies. So most of you either had it already without or with mild symptoms or will have it at some point. So it is important to take care of each other. All right. So this is about we know what we know about COVID-19 and how should we conduct ourselves. Right now, moving on to the next part that is important. Right, how would it? So what will happen? We know that this COVID-19 is not going anywhere. You know, now most of the colleges were closed, around the world for some time. But slowly and slowly the colleges are opening. For example, in America, we were not closed. Because it was middle of the semester or quarter here, so we had to go online within seconds. And here, we actually expose our students to hybrid courses wherein, online learning, which is a blend of online learning and classroom learning. So it was relatively easier for us to switch to, online teaching or online learning, or for our students to switch to online learning, right? But I know that few of my colleagues that are there in India, they had to close the college because they had to work on the contingency measures to impart research and education remotely. All right. And it is very difficult to for someone who has not experienced remote learning to get to remote learning, right? How should we get to remote learning, right? Because what happens when we say that, okay, it is remote learning, what we do, we switch off our video, we mute our mic, and then let the lecture happen, and we do whatever we want to do. We might not be sitting in front of the lecture, we might not be listening to the lecture, right? So there are many caveats to this. There are many drawbacks of remote learning. Okay, and believe it, guys, we will be slowly and slowly, as the as we are getting better prepared, we are getting better sense of COVID-19. The schools and colleges will open, and they will open in phases, right? They will, for example, like how we have started doing in America. As part of pharmacy curriculum, the students have to do their rotation clinics.
முடிச்சிட்டு வரேன் நான்.
Hello. Okay. So here, as part of the pharmacy curriculum, the students have to go on rotations in clinics, in community pharmacy, in retail pharmacy, and stuff like that, in hospitals, right? So now, slowly and slowly, we have not yet started the classroom learning, and we won't be starting classroom learning till, till next year, till next year spring, all right? But we are bringing students back to lab, we are bringing students back to their practice sites, their rotation sites. All right, so we are going for phase opening. This is what it is called as. So we will be dealing with remote learning. That's why I thought that it is important for us to be prepared for remote learning. Okay, so what should we do? We should get comfortable with the routine. All right. Routines are for pharmacy students, finding a routine is training for the so basically routines are very important to both academic and professional life. It allows for balancing multiple responsibilities, and for pharmacy students, as I already told you, finding a routine is like training for future daily work of a pharmacist. It provides efficiency, it provides safety, it brings thoroughness, and it brings reproducibility if you're working in hospitals, if you're working in pharmaceutical company, or if you're working in some research lab, right? So the routine is very important. Okay, however, talking about routine is very simple, but this transition from face to face learning to online learning is painful for everyone. And transition of, for that matter, transition of any kind is painful, or it requires a little bit of adjustment, right? For example, when you passed your 12th class, right, you went to undergrad college, that was a transition, right? When you went from, or when from undergrad or 12th class, for those who have directly gone to the professional college, that's a transition in itself, right? In professional colleges, as you move up from one year to next year to next year to next year, that is also a transition, and those transitions, and these are expected transitions. So transitions, they require a balance of challenge and support in order to grow and develop. Transitions are very important. They are required for us if we really want to have a well-rounded growth and development, right? And faculty and staff of the college can help you with that. So students, please reach out to your faculty and staff, please reach out to your support staff. Faculty and staff in a college of pharmacy is your support system. Please reach out to your peers, as in how they are handling this, how they are how the faculty and staff can help you with the transition. All right. And then we should also understand the situation. So everything will change, right? The instructional design and delivery will change. For example, from face to face instruction delivery, when you were sitting in the class, your professor was teaching you right in front of you in the lecture hall, that will, it doesn't seem to be a case of future now for some time until we get the vaccine, right? And who knows, if the virus is getting mutated so frequently, like flu virus, then the people, the formulation scientists who are making or developing vaccines, they will have to outbeat the virus mutations, right? So right now what is happening, that the face to face learning is going to go away. It is getting replaced by or asynchronous learning, wherein there would be a blend of lectures that would be given online. Majority of lectures would be given online, and you would be called to campus for like we call our students for compounding lab, let's say, right? If they have to do compounding labs, then compounding lab cannot be done online, right? So for compounding lab, the students will have to be called on campus. All right. And that too, we what we do here, we make them we divide the class into small groups, and then we call them in groups, you know so situations are changing now. We can there are different types of if you're going to the remote learning, then there are different models that you could be subjected to. For example, team-based learning. Out here in America, what we do, we make groups of students. We divide a class, right? We conduct the classroom sessions on Zoom, all right, wherein we divide classes on small groups. We make their groups, and then we let them discuss the concepts in the group. So you might be doing all those things as well. Your teachers or your professors have already would have already started thinking about all these things. So by this talk today, I want to prepare you for such changes. There you might be doing peer based learning as well, right? Meaning, you might be put in groups wherein you would be teaching each other as well. Okay, so technology and systems will be at a premium and be fully stressed in such conditions. Environmental changes may happen. You have already seen that traffic flow will improve. Face people will start wearing face masks, and they have already started wearing face masks. For in-person sessions, you would see podiums with sneeze guards, so that with a plastic or fiberglass sheet that would be put on podiums, like we have started doing here in America, so that the droplets from the speaker does not get to the audience. Okay. Assessment practices will need to be modified. So up till now, what used to happen, you would take exams, right? There would be, like when I was in pharmacy school, we used to have two minor exams in a semester and one major exam, right? So for those exams, we would go to college. We would be given the question paper, and we will have to write our answers in the answer sheet, right? Now all that would change, right? Because you might not be able to go to college for exams. So for online courses, probably you will be like how what we do in America. We give our students online exams. So for us, it was easier, right? All the students had laptops, or colleges provide laptops here, and then the students, would take the exam in the classroom on laptops. But now the students have to take the exam remotely while sitting in their houses or in their places, right? In their homes. So what we have done in America, we have bought a software that is AI integrated, that will actually monitor the movement of eyes of the students or noise of papers, right? Or it will also scan the desk where the student is taking the exam for any other material, right? Just to flag cases of cheating. All right. So you might also be subjected to these changes. The assessment practices will change. All right. Now, practice experiences, supportive services, and student life, all these things will change. Okay, your co-curricular activities will also change. For example, we used to in India. I don't know now what kind of co-curricular activities you have. Like we used to have, flu clinics. We used to have, community outreach events wherein we would go to the remote areas. We would, educate the people out there about medicines, and we would do the blood pressure screening, diabetic screening for the people. These activities will change now. We won't be able to do this, right? Because you students are at a risk, and the faculty that is, or your professor who is accompanying you for such events is also at risk, right? There would be some personal situations as well. For example, students, faculty, staff, they may become infected, right? There will be ripple effect from K through 12 school decisions. For example, this high schools, or plus the schools from KG to plus two or 12th, what kind of changes they are bringing, that may also lead to the ripple effect to the changes that you may see in your college, right? Rotation sites are out here. As I told you earlier, that students go on rotations or practice sites. those will also change, and they are changing actually. Unanticipated issues will come up, and these issues always come up. So I want you as pharmacy students to be prepared for all these changes. You might be worried about your future. You might be worried about jobs, your licensing, and out here students go for residencies. They go. You might be worried if you're going on clinical rotations. Then you might be worried about that as well, because you're worried you will fall behind. And here in America, what happens that the licensure exam, after getting your PharmD degree, you have to, doctorate in pharmacy, you have to take the licensing exam. And for that licensing exam, you have to have certain number of practice hours in clinics. All right. So the students are worried here because they will fall behind. They won't be able to write their licensure exam. Right. So I want you to be aware of all these situations. So depending on this, what kind of career path should you choose, right? What lies ahead of you? So for those of you who are in your third year professional course, no matter what, no matter what is your GPA, what is your grade, what in us in your particular year, you have to develop strong basics. Okay, because the time is changing now. Now getting jobs would be more difficult. It won't be so easy. Jobs would be given to people who are able to prove their worth. All right. So please, please, please develop strong basics. I remember, and I put this cartoon over here because, a pharmacology test exam, any adverse effect question on paper, I would say nausea, vomiting, diarrhea. These were the common adverse effects. For example, if we are doing the cancer chemotherapeutics, anti-cancer drugs, if it's a question on adverse effects, I would write, or my colleagues would write nausea, vomiting, diarrhea. That's very common, right? No, we don't have to do that. Please, please, please build up on your basics. It's very important. Okay. uh, you have to be aware of your surroundings. You have to be aware where the world is going. And how do you do that? You attend conferences, you attend workshops, okay, you attend scientific sessions or symposia. You should take a few courses to build your CV in computer programming. Excuse me. Believe it or not, guess what? Remote learning. How is it given? It is possible because of computer programming, right? So nowadays, there or in future, when you will come to the job market, right, or 5 years, 10 years down the line, computer programming would become an essential asset or skill for every professional to have. Out here in America, we have started teaching computer programming to our students. All right. So you, being pharmacy students in India, should also, there are many courses that are available in computer programming. So please look for some courses, and or they're freely, many of the basics are freely available on YouTube. So please, please, please go to YouTube and start with some language, right? Start with C, C++, or right now the language of future is going to be Python. So start learning Python. It's a very good language. Okay, and if you have computer skills, then you become more sellable. All right. Now, why should you do that? Because exposure and interaction with the outside world, to get exposure and interaction with the outside world, these activities will build your knowledge base. They will tell you where the world is going. what is the current job market, or and when the key to be looking for a job is not that what do you want now, no, it's what do you want or where do you want to be 10 years from now, where the world would be 10 years from now. So you have to think ahead. You have to be 10 years thinking ahead of time. All right. These activities, they grow your professional network. Networking is very important, guys. Wherever you are, whatever you do, start building your network. It is very important. All right. And always remember, networking begins from home. So, and pharmacy world is a very small world, so you cannot uh, you know you cannot afford to burn bridges here, right? You have to be good to everyone, because sometime or somewhere or the other, or at some phase or the other, you would come across an individual, and that individual may help you or you may help someone. Okay, so building network is very important. Start doing networking from home. First start within the house. Excuse me. And then your college, your classmates, your college, and be in touch with your professors. That is very important. Excuse me. You have to expand your resources. Excuse me. You have to be presenting. Start seeking opportunities to present a poster, or make an oral or do an oral presentation in conferences or at places like NIPER, CSIR. Excuse me. Okay. You can also go to look for such events at BHU, local colleges, Indian Pharmaceutical Congress. When I was in pharmacy third year, I did a small research project. I presented it at IPC. That was in Pune. Okay, look for pharma summits, online summits. So please look for all these resources. All right. Develop a habit of reading scientific peer reviewed articles. It's very important. Read scientific research articles and review papers from international journals. Why do you have to do that? Because it helps in developing a solid foundation about the subject. You will understand manuscript writing for that is required for publications, literature review. You will get updated knowledge of the field, of the latest innovations and breakthroughs in technology and science. Drafting, it'll really help you to draft a research proposal during your masters, if you plan to do masters or PhD or postdoctoral studies, right? And it also helps in poster or oral presentation at conferences. Now, how do you do that? These are some resources that I have given you here. You can go to PubMed. For medical articles, you can go to Science Direct for database of scientific journals, books and articles, right? You can also go to Google Scholar. Okay. You can also access Cochrane reviews for clinical data on clinical trials. You can also look for FDA, for current drugs in market, any black labels, warnings on the drug, or the status of the drugs at, whether they are in phase 1, phase 2, or phase 3, phase 4 clinical trials from FDA website. You should also refer various journals from Nature, Elsevier, Science, Cell. These are reputed journals. Okay. And you must know what is the impact factor of the journal. These journals over here, they have high impact factor. Okay, higher the impact factor, the better the journal is. It's a number that is assigned to a journal. So before you look for an article, before reading an article, look for the journal where it is published. Then look for the impact factor of the journal. There are some journals that do not have any impact factor. For example, Nature, the impact factor is in 30s. Science, Cell, the impact factors are in 30s or 40s, right? So these are high impact factor journals. They are good journals, reputed journals. Anything that has impact factor above 2.53 is good journal. Okay. Well, with this, I would like to end my presentation here. I would like to, tell you that this is the college, pharmacy college at Marshall B. Ketchum University, and this over here is the amphitheater. Uh, and these are two of my students that my very first students at Marshall B. Ketchum University. Uh, you know. Who my research students basically. So this is my lab, and these are my two research students. Uh, uh, Now I have about 5 or 6 research students, so the group is expanding, and I really thank you all to be patient, and to attend my talk today. I hope that I was able to impart some knowledge to you guys, and I am also thankful to AKCP College for giving me platform to share my knowledge with you guys. And now I would take any questions if you have. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Professor.
You're welcome. Thank you. I really appreciate the opportunity.
Sir, thank you, sir. Really, we had a informative and a nice explanation presentation. I hope this topic will motivate the student and encourage them in active learning in forthcoming day. Professor Anburaj, is there any chat box question? Anburaj?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Is there any chat box question?
So, good morning, sir.
Yes, sir.
Sir, thank you for your wonderful presentation.
You're welcome. Thank you. Thank you for
It has
providing
been a
the.
might buster. Yeah, it has been a might buster for all of us. So, you explained about lot of mites and folks regarding that COVID-19. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. Thank
Sir,
you.
I have a question.
Sure.
I have a question, sir. You have told that there are a lot of co-curricular activities which is related to career, like they are going to clinic and they are practicing, like that you have told, sir.
Right.
But in India, there are less possibilities for practicing those things, sir.
Correct.
So if the student want to develop self-interest, what are the things they have to do, sir? They want to go on their own to develop some of the skills, sir. What are the areas they have to look for, sir? They want to develop the clinical skills. What are the areas they have to work it on?
So, sir, can you please repeat the question again? I'm sorry, I lost your
Yeah, if
connection.
the students want to develop the clinical knowledge, what are the areas they should work it on, sir?
All right. So for clinical, there are different areas. So what they should be doing, there is a software called as SAS. It's an analytical software, and it is freely available. I mean, out here in America, it is freely available to the students or academic institutions. They should learn SAS to enhance the learning of SAS actually gives them a better understanding of the data. And nowadays, what is happening? All these clinics. So actually, in 2007, what happened? NIH, National Institute of Health, in America, they realize that the clinicians or the clinical pharmacists or doctors, they don't have a good understanding of data, right? How to analyze data and all. So they started a program that is called as translational science, wherein the scientists and clinicians, they trained together. Okay, so this is called as bench to bedside, because as a scientist, like I am a scientist, I'm not a clinician. So whatever research I do, how would it impact the clinics, right? That is very important for me to understand, so that I can have some fruitful research, right? So with that, keeping that in mind, NIH has started a translational science program, and in that program, the SAS software and statistics, developing skills for stats is very important. So we should do that. For for clinical practices, we have software out here wherein we can divide the class into small groups, and then what will happen that it's like a pharmacy management software. Okay, so wherein the students will remotely call, or a patient will call the pharmacy. Okay, and then what will happen? The student will have to, with the help of this software, they will have to, design a dosage regime for the patient based on the health conditions, look for the drug-drug interactions, and look for look-alike drugs, right? All those things. So that is second. And third is we are also developing a program for OSCEs. OSCEs are actually activities that emulate or that simulate the real life scenarios for clinical pharmacists. So the pharmacists who work in hospitals, they come across patients every day. They see patients. The patients talk to them about their symptoms. Then pharmacists counsel them on the drugs and the meds that they are taking and stuff like that. So we are actually joining hands with some software for that as well. So I hope I answered your question.
Thank you, sir. So I had a question like whether our basic pharmacy degree is eligible for an licensing exam in USA, sir.
So for graduates who graduated before 2003, a basic pharmacy degree is eligible for is eligible for them. But anyone who graduated after 2003, they either have to go 6 years in college, basically in pharmacy college. So in India, I reckon that we have certain schools that are offering PharmD, doctorate in pharmacy, that is 6 years. So for those students, they can come to US and they can take the foreign licensure exam, followed by the licensure exam of the country and the law, and then they can practice over here. But for basic pharmacy degree, for those who are graduated after 2003, it's not valid here. They will have to come and go to school again.
Thank you, sir. So you have told about the simulation software, sir.
Mm-hmm.
So can you share some of the simulation software which can be used for students during this COVID pandemic?
So there are actually, I don't remember the name on top of my head, but I'll look into it and I'll get back to you, because I don't deal with these sims here, because simulations here, because I'm not clinician. So I cannot practice pharmacy. I did not take the NAPLEX exam because I graduated after 2003. I graduated in 2004. So that's why. But I will look into the software and I'll get back to you. Please share your email with me and I'll definitely get back to you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Sir, and a final question.
Mhm.
Sir, when we are seeing the status, salary status of a pharmacist, in US, the community pharmacist earning more compared to industry or academic people. So, but the scenario in India is highly different.
Right.
So, yeah, your thoughts on that, sir? So, if we want to build a career on community pharmacy in India, so what are the things we do? And in here in legal status also, there are a lot of provisions for clinicians or allied health workers to handle the medicaments. So, how we can overcome those things?
So see, in India, the situation is very different, right? And I completely agree with you. And actually, this is a very good question. So yeah, and it's true that out here in America, the pharmacists are well paid. In community pharmacy, in retail pharmacy, they are well paid. Uh, I would not say that they are paid better than the pharmaceutical companies, but they're well paid. They're handsome. They get handsome salaries, and they used to get they get signing bonuses and stuff like that. So yes. So in India, uh, see, according to me, if you really want to uh, do something, your vision really matters a lot, right? So you have to have a concrete vision and and a mindset to grow, right? So I remember seeing some chain pharmacies. So in US we have chain pharmacies, right? We have big pharmaceutical retail pharmacies, and these are chain pharmacies, and a company is running these chain pharmacies, not by an individual. Okay, so and I remember that we have come up with a similar concept in India as well. So I would say, and I know a few of my college mates who run chain pharmacies in their own way. They own multiple stores and stuff like that. So, but retail situation in India is not that promising, actually, to tell you the truth. I
Thank
hope
you,
I
sir.
answered. You're welcome.
Any other questions? Sir, final question.
Mhm.
Sir, can you elaborate the options for higher studies in US for our students?
Sorry,
Yeah, so
option.
we are having a B Farm and PharmD students. So if they
Right.
want to pursue their higher studies in US for MS or PhD, what are the possible options or what are the possible scholarships and what are the basic needs for that, sir?
Sure. So, see, when I came here, there is only one route when you come to United States. You have to take GRE. There is an exam that is called as Graduate Record Exam, right? They test you on English, math, and some quantitative reasoning. All right. They also test you on your writing skills in GRE. Then you have to take English proficiency test that is called as TOEFL. Okay, and now TOEFL is paired up with test of spoken English. So they test you your ability to hear and comprehend English and understand. And second, they also test your ability to talk and speak in English. So these are two major criteria to come to US, right? So that when then you when you take GRE exam, then you shortlist the universities where you want to put in your application. Now GRE is just one checkpoint. Okay, GRE and TOEFL, these are like one checkpoint. Then your application package really matters. So in application packet, you should have strong letters of recommendations. So you remember I told you guys that you have to start building your network. Networking really helps here. Uh, And you remember I told you that you have to start going to the conferences, the seminars, and go and attend some training sessions. Like I did all these things. I did my when I was in pharmacy, my B farm. I went to training at Center of Drug Research Institute, Central Drug Research Institute, Lucknow, and it is a good institute. It used to be a good institute back then, a very renowned institute. Okay, so my training from there actually gave me, and my hard work there gave me two very good letters of recommendations from there. Then I was very good in my class out here in my college, in my pharmaceutical college, pharmacy college. So my principal of my school and my teachers really wrote very good letters of recommendations for me. Okay, so letters of recommendations are very important. Then I had some networking at Indian Pharmaceutical Congress. So I got some letters of recommendations from there as well. Okay, then you have to have very strong essay. You have to write an essay to tell the admission board why do you want to come to United States, leaving your country to study here. Okay, so your essays are very important. And that is it. Then you apply to colleges, and basically, and research experience, really, if you have an experience in research. So if you want to do masters or PhD in pharmacology, research experience matters a lot. Pharmacology, medicinal chemistry. Okay, if you want to do masters or PhD in pharmaceutics, your industrial training really matters a lot. Okay, so you have to see which field you want to pursue your graduate studies, and then accordingly you develop your skill sets. So that's why I said that you have to start in your from your third year onwards. So you have to start building your resume. When I was in first year pharmacy, it was a transition for me, and in first year pharmacy, we don't have a clue. But second year onwards, you start thinking about your future. You always have to think 5 or 10 years ahead. Okay, so that is very important. Second thing, you can
Thank you, sir.
also for MBA, pharmaceutical management, degree. For that, you will have to take an exam that is called as GMAT. Like how you have CATs in India, you have GMATs in America. But in MBA, the funding is very less. Okay, you don't get funding in your 2 years of college. And second thing is to get to an MBA program for a good university, you have to have some work experience from India, from a good company. Okay, so that is that. And here for masters and PhD, then masters funding is very slim. The chances are very less now. But in PhD, definitely you get funding. Your PhD cannot be without funding. So in PhD you get funding, but in masters you will have to look for research funding. So there are two types of funding. One is teaching fellowship, the other one is research fellowship. Okay, so if you join a lab that has grants from national organizations or government organizations, then that lab, the principal investigator or the scientist in that lab will will give you some money to sustain, and they will waive your tuition off. Out here, the college fee is very expensive, so getting that waived is very important.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Thank you, sir, for
You're
a
welcome.
very wonderful explanation, sir. On behalf of our management of AKCP, hereby I express my wholehearted thanks to you and your esteemed university for
Thank
giving
you.
such an informative and wonderful presentation, Professor Dr. Priyank Kumar, sir.
Thank you. I really appreciate. I
In,
appreciate the
in future
opportunity.
also, In future also, let's have a good collaboration for the development of our future students' future careers.
Definitely. Looking
Thank you,
forward
sir.
to it. Thank you.
Whenever would like to plan to India, sir, please let me know, sir. We will invite our campus.
Definitely, I will do that.
Thank you, sir.
Not in whenever I make my next visit to India, I will definitely make it a
Sir,
point to visit.
let me know, sir. Let me know, sir.
Definitely. Definitely. Thank you.
We will invite you, sir.
Thank you. I really appreciate that.
Sir, kindly, sir, another one more request. Kindly let us know, sir, any of your colleague, friends,
Sure. I will. I
uh,
will.
uh, kindly refer, sir, kindly refer who are able to guide help in the development of our pharmacy students in the rural Tamil Nadu.
Definitely. I have actually, a few colleagues out here in America, because see, we know that what kind of challenges we have gone through when we were in pharmacy colleges, right?
Yes,
We really want to help the pharmacy students out there in India, and we really want to help our colleagues that are there in India. So we are a team of 3 or 4 faculty who really are who want to initiate this work. So I will definitely contact you, and thank you for mentioning that to me.
thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. It's my pleasure. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Take care, sir. Take care. Bye, sir.
You too. Thank you. So I can log off.
Thank you.
Thank thank you. Take care. Have a good day.
you